welcome to Just Keep Walking, a podcast focused on the Walking Dead TV show. This episode we'll be discussing the first 9 seasons of the show as we get ready for the second half of season 10.
That was good.
That was awesome.
Cool. That's good. Good start to the show. So,
I like it.
yeah, my name's Ben. I'm your host and joined by 2 very good friends. We've got Isaac Anthony over here.
How you doing? Good to be here.
Good. And Liam Swainson.
Yeah, that's me. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me, boys.
Oh,
Is
no.
it really Swainson?
Yeah.
Ah,
You were saying Swanson, weren't
this
you?
whole time.
Yeah, I always get that.
Seems
That's-
more graceful. Swanson.
True.
Sometimes I did wish that it was Swanson.
Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. Pretty much everyone just
Yeah.
goes there, I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yep, straight away.
It's your name. You can decide, man.
That's
This
it,
is
that's
true.
it.
This is true. I can draw a
And,
line in the sand.
Yeah, and any nicknames we come up with might have to stick around for the show if we come up with something catchier. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, but anyway, so we've got an interesting show for today. Pretty much we'll go for about an hour probably, but we want to talk about just what hooked you guys with the show, how you got into it originally and why we're all fans of it. We're going to rank sort of the first 9 seasons and get a sense of what you guys like and don't like as far as ranking the seasons and stuff like that, favorite characters, and then we've got a few segments we might try towards the end. So it's
Cool.
going to be a good
I
one.
like it.
Awesome. So, could you guys tell us, maybe Liam, first of all, what originally was it that got you into the show and what hooked you to really keep watching and to stick around?
It's a very good question. So for the longest time, my little sister constantly said, you need to watch this show.
Okay.
I know you're going to love it. You need to watch it. I'm like, I don't really feel like it, but I'll give it a try. So I put it on, and I think in that first day, I smashed out the whole season and started on the second season.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, straight away I was hooked from the first episode. Absolutely loved it.
Nice. Okay, awesome. And yeah, was there a point where that really sort of changed it for you, or just right from the start you were full on big fan of it?
Right from the start, yeah.
Yeah,
As soon as
nice.
that first episode passed through my eye lenses, don't know if that's the right terminology, but we'll go with that.
We'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hooked. Hook, line, and sinker, I was in.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
eh? Nice. All right, how about you, Isaac?
Well, not quite the same. I think when I had gotten onto it, it was already in its 4th season.
Yeah.
I believe it was actually you, Ben, that suggested it to me.
Yeah, probably.
I was already a fan of like zombie type film, media and stuff out there.
Yeah.
Anything to do with survival,
Yeah.
characters needing to survive, I found pretty interesting. I began to follow it along because I just wanted to see how it ends, and that's probably why I'm still into it today. It's like, how are you going to resolve this? How's it all going to come together?
Playing a long game there.
Yes. And I think it's just been, it's something that we don't have around here, the undead, and it's just, a different type of threat, a mindless eating machine and it's just interesting. Yeah.
That's cool.
Survival of the fittest.
Nice. And was there any point in the show for you that really hooked you?
And we'll get into this when we start talking about characters and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But just Norman Reedus really being in the show, seeing him in other things like the Boondock Saints for one,
Sure.
or in the Blade trilogy as well. Just him being in it was enough for me to stay interested. And yeah,
Okay. Oh, awesome. Nice. Well, pretty much for me, as far as what got me into the show, really just I'd heard some friends talking about it and stuff like that. And yeah, just, I've never been super into horror and zombies as far as the gore and stuff goes, but I just really love anything that's like, post-apocalyptic and all that. Seeing empty streets and being able to loot shops and stuff like that is always fun. And
I don't know
and
where that came from, but
oh yeah, I don't know.
okay.
Okay.
Loot shops. Okay, moving on.
Don't arrest me.
You're the first guy stealing one of those block TVs out of the window, aren't you?
The
100%.
second there's any sort of apocalypse, just
Quick.
But yeah, and then just the added threat of zombies, and the fact that it's people, and if you get bit, that person suddenly becomes a threat and stuff like that. Just makes it that much more interesting, and Yeah, so that was what really got me interested in the show, and then as soon as I started watching it, just seeing like the strong character focus, or there's that beautiful sort of moment in season 1 where Morgan's trying to shoot his wife and he can't do it, and then there's Rick. He goes and sort of apologizes to the bicycles girl zombie and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
just sort of a nice little touching moment that shows you that there's a little more to the show than just, you know, gore and violence and stuff like that. That it's really got a good heart to it. So that was what really pulled me into it at the start. But yeah, I guess from there we'll go into our season rankings. So pretty much I've asked you guys to just rank seasons 1 to 9 in order of your favorites. So Liam, maybe do you want to start us off?
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
go least favorite to favorite if
I
that
like
works.
it. Let's give that a crack, shall
All
we?
right.
Awesome.
So, coming up in last place, which sounds really, really horrible, doesn't it? My least favorite season would have to be season 7.
Okay.
As much as I love the show, I wasn't a big fan of this season. It felt very drawn out. I think they could have compressed the entirety of that season into one half, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it was just very much doom and gloom, with no. It felt like it lacked purpose in that. Like half of the season was just under the rule of the saviors. The second half was them actually going, oh, yeah, well, let's fight back. Like, couldn't you
Yeah.
have done that in half?
True.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Alright, what's
Coming up
next?
at number 8 is season 8.
There you go.
All Out War. Started off really, really good. I thought it had a lot of potential, but again, it just fell short. It didn't hit the mark at all, and especially with the ending. The ending was the most anticlimactic ending I've ever seen.
Right.
I remember the three of us.
Yeah.
Watch that.
Watching that,
all
like,
together.
that's it? That's all we're getting?
Because that's what they said on the title as well. All Out War, you know, the big
Yeah.
banner of them all banding together. And it's like, okay, we're in for something here. Yeah.
Lol jokes.
Yeah. Psych.
Then after that, number 6, season 6.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm a little bit controversial in the sense that I love Negan,
Right.
but the whole Negan arc, I really feel that they botched it. They could
Interesting.
have done that a
yeah.
whole lot better.
Wow. Okay.
I
in-
think a lot of people would probably agree with that. Yeah.
So,
that's fair.
like, the build up to Negan was fantastic, and season 6 in that regard was quite good because it was season 6 where he was introduced, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And they had the cliffhanger right at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I really loved that build up. I you can feel like, oh yeah, this is going to culminate in a huge ending.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
Being a little bit of a, like, out of curiosity, I'd Google what happens in the comics just to sort of get a gauge as to what happened. I'm like, oh damn, this is what's to come. Whew. But again, the cliffhanger ending, that made me pretty unhappy.
Yeah.
As probably about 99.99% of the viewers who watch The Walking Dead.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But aside from that, like, it wasn't a bad season. Just that ending really shot itself in the foot, in my opinion.
Yeah. Actually, side note regarding the comics. So none of us have read the comics. Is that right?
No, sir, not me.
No, just snippets.
Yeah. I tried getting into them at one point and got a little bit of the way in, but yeah, just couldn't really connect with it. But then I think at least Liam, you and I are probably the same in the sense that we watch lots of, you know, YouTube videos
Yeah.
and
Right.
hear the
And they do
general
all the
gist
work
of what
for us,
happens.
right?
That's it. Absolutely. All right, continue.
Yeah, we're still actually going back in order, so to speak.
Oh yeah, sure.
So coming up next is season 5,
Okay.
then season 4, then season 3.
Yeah.
So each one progressively got better.
Okay. Interesting.
Sorry, got
Oh, worse.
a little bit worse. Yeah,
okay.
going backwards. Yeah, yeah, like, I enjoyed them all, but yeah, I felt that each season started to sort of dip a little bit in quality. Coming in at 3rd position, season 1,
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
pilot
yeah.
season.
Right.
Classic.
Yep. Coming up in 2nd place, season 2. And there are a few people that I've spoken to who really didn't like season 2, who didn't really
Sure.
connect with it, but I actually really enjoyed it, especially the last couple of episodes. You know, when
Yeah.
the horde hits the farm.
Yep.
Oh, I loved that.
Yeah, that seems to be the most mixed one as far as you either love it or hate it. It seems it's either
Yeah,
really
yeah.
boring because they're just on the farm the whole time, or you really get into the characters and the drama of what's happening.
I
so,
agree, which is what I
yeah.
loved. I loved that character development, and yes, you could sort of see a few episodes where you're like, well, yeah, you're all sort of on a farm. This is kind of boring. But
Sure.
seeing all the development and the introduction of, it's not just the zombies, it's the other survivors that we've got to watch out for. I really loved that.
Yeah, right. Oh,
and
cool.
coming up in number 1 is season 9. I absolutely love season 9.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
But
That's
that
awesome, man.
might be because I've been hanging out for the Whisperers for the longest time. So
Yeah.
as soon as they were introduced, I was there 100%.
Yeah,
But
right.
I really thought that they nailed it. Like, I was really excited with how they introduced them, and the whole the second half of season 9 being about the Whisperers. I loved that.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely.
it wasn't a build up. You knew they were coming towards the end of the first half because there was that introduction in, I think it was the 6th episode, where you hear the walkers start whispering. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here they come.
Here they are, yeah.
But when they do come, it's bam, the Whisperers are here now. There was no more of a little bit of a build up. It was no, yep, this is a new threat, and they're right here, and I loved that.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Hey, and I guess as a direct comparison to what you were saying before about the Negan storyline where they dragged it out quite a bit with the
Yeah.
build up and everything like that. At least with this, they just got straight into it and
Yeah.
didn't waste your time.
No messing around, straight in.
Yeah. All right,
Sweet.
that's awesome.
Just really quick then, from a dot point from best to worst, could you just give me the season numbers? So
So
from your
from best to worst, we've
Yep.
got season 9,
Yep.
season 2,
Uh-huh.
season 1, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 7.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Some of ours are the same, and some of ours are like poles apart, opposites. Interesting.
You couldn't just swap 7 and 8 for OCD person. It's like-
I thought about it, but I'm like, no.
Some guys just twitching listening to this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice. All right, Isaac, what have you got?
Okay, so if it's all right with you, I might actually go the opposite way around from
Sure
best
thing.
to worst.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of regret doing that.
Dope. Okay, so my top spot is actually season 1. For the moment, like these change all the time.
Yeah.
But just as I wrote this, having a think about it, and actually reading the synopsis list that you sent us, Ben.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
really helped, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
definitely.
Season 1, just we get to learn the world. We meet all the characters. We understand sort of who Rick is and what his motivations are, and I really like that. Getting to know his relationship with Morgan, and why he wants to get back to his family. It's all very endearing. In second spot is season 2. I really like the mystery behind Carol's daughter Sophia, like missing the whole time,
Yeah.
and the reveal at the end of that. We're assuming everyone's watched this, aren't we? Like,
Yeah,
Can
yeah. Particularly the older season. I mean,
do you want to
Yeah,
issue
no.
a spoilers ahead,
well,
or
spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but if you're listening to this, yeah.
We're going to assume you've already seen it.
okay, like there's the mystery of the barn, and all of the walkers inside of the barn, and then the last person to walk out is Sophia turned, and it's like, oh damn, like
Sure.
that's an awesome reveal. And of course, in season 2, you've also got Shane as well, who's starting
Yeah.
to become questionable and edgy. You don't know what's going to happen with him. Next up is season 5, in my third spot.
Okay.
I like, is that where they found out that Terminus, the so-called sanctuary spot, is like not what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, that's it.
We got Carol stepping in to save the day, and one of those, I don't like last-minute saves typically, like it's very sort of cliched, but they got their heads about to be cut off or throats slit or whatever,
Yeah.
and then Carol comes and
Bam.
saves the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that was dragged out. A few people thought that was ridiculous. There's like 3 times the guy's
Yeah.
like swinging the bat about to kill Glenn and like stops just again. The guy's like, oh, did you check that thing?
Yeah. Like, come on. In fourth spot, season 7, I really liked. So Negan has got to be one of my favorite characters. Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
That's him.
His voice, if I may, I'm gonna like throughout this podcast be doing all of the impressions because he's like my favorite.
You are welcome to.
Yeah, the amount of leanbacks he does when he talks is
right?
just phenomenal. But I like that we get to see quite a lot of what his character is in this season. We see quite a few scenes of him in Sanctuary with the Saviors. Is it Sanctuary where they?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
I like it from his perspective and his right hand man as well. In fourth spot, 1, 2, 3, 4. In fifth spot is season 6. Everything in the lead up to Negan,
Yeah.
finding out who the saviors are, and then banding together with the junkyard people. Who are they? The scavengers.
Yeah, something along those lines.
So the
Okay.
scavengers came in season 7.
Did they really?
To help band together to fight the Sabers, but then season
Actually,
6 was
yes,
more the
that's
lead
right.
up
Yeah.
before and then you meet Negan right at the end of season 6.
Actually,
Yeah.
there weren't any other actual communities at this stage, were they, in season 6?
They met Jesus about halfway through, and he
Yeah.
introduced them to Hilltop. But then, Kingdom and all that come in season 7.
Yeah.
Right. Then after that, season 3, the prison and the governor sort of setting,
Yeah.
for me was a little bit boring. They were
Mm.
running into fresh problems to try and keep the season current. I feel like with the outbreak of viruses and stuff like that, they had the bleeding eyes and stuff from the livestock.
Mm.
I don't know. It was kind of like, all right, let's keep it moving along. The
Right.
governor you don't trust. I did like him as a character, but those sorts of scenes, it just kind of fell flat for me. After that, season 4, sort of the lead up to Terminus, all the groups are apart, but they're kind of coming back together, finding the railroad tracks and stuff that lead there. I've got a little note here for season 4. Just look at the flowers. One of my favorite lines,
Yeah.
just look at the flowers. Yeah, bang dead. Yeah, you'll find out how I feel about Carol coming up.
Okay.
Then after that, season 8, Carl's death and Negan's defeat. They felt anticlimactic to me, as we've already talked about. I was sad to
Yeah.
see Carl go. Carl! And I feel like the letters he wrote were meaningful, but, they were just boring. The whole thing was boring. And it was sort of a little too sentimental, I feel.
Yeah.
Saying goodbye.
Interesting.
And they could have had Carl wandering around in a white dress after that, but they didn't. So, opportunity
good.
missed. And then, last on the list is season 9. Only because I
Okay.
do like the Whisperers. I do like Alpha. The way she talks is kind of annoying.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that.
Like, either whisper
so
or...
many of the
Yeah.
actors on the show are British. Same with Andrew Lincoln and
Yeah.
doing an American accent, and so that's why Coral and all that
Yeah.
is so, stuff and fangs. It's
Yeah.
like it's just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But you can't quite pick what she's going for, right?
Yeah.
Mm,
Like I hear her accents and go, I don't really know what exactly you're going for here.
yeah, true.
And then my question is, how are there any fat people in this universe when, pickings are so slim? So particularly if you're living out in the wild and you're only sort of, they're hungry every day, as they say.
Yeah.
So how are you fat is my question.
That's your big issue with
Yes.
this season.
Yes, how?
It's a fat person.
And then furthermore, like Lydia, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you've got Lydia on your side now. In this season, she's just run off because she's fed up and she doesn't, fit in well and all of that. But like, yay, you've got Lydia on your side at the expense of Henry dying, at the expense of, Enid and all of those dying. And like,
Yeah.
well, great, good for you. So
Yeah,
I just
okay.
found myself getting so annoyed at the, and I was starting to like Tara as well. So,
Yeah.
and then she's gone as well now. So,
Damn it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That actually really hit me hard because I was the same. At first, she really irritated me.
yeah.
But yeah, she started to step up. She got a bit more screen time, I think, as well. But
Yeah.
you could see the leadership aspect coming out.
Yeah.
And then actually, no, she's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime I spot closure happening with these characters, I'm like, what's going to happen to you? Like the famous, Rick and Daryl having their last, brother, this and that.
Yeah,
and,
that's it.
like, you're going to go. Yeah. So it goes from best to worst. That's season 1, season 2, season 5, season 7, season 6, season 3, then 4, then 8, then 9.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Subject to change, of course, as
Sure.
I rewatch, but
Yeah. No, and you find that, hey, when you rewatch something, then you go, oh, actually,
Yeah.
yeah. But, oh, that's cool.
yeah.
I like it.
Quick side note: Have any of you guys watched it from top to toe more than once?
No.
No.
Well, not from
Not
top
up
to toe
to
where it
date,
is
but
now.
yeah.
But I've watched each season at least. The latest seasons, season 8 and season 9, I've seen like twice, but all the other ones
Okay.
I've seen at least sort of 3 or 4 times.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, particularly the older ones, just because I'd start from the start every time. But then
Yeah,
after a while, I
yep.
was like, I
This is
can't
getting
do
a bit
this.
out of
This is
hand.
like a whole year of watching to get through it all.
And there are some things that don't quite hold up as well. Like you've got the building explosion in season 1 where you're like, oh
absolutely.
boy. Ooh. But what
Yeah.
about
So
yourself?
cover your eyes.
Yeah. Just listen.
Actually, the
look at the
same.
flowers. Yeah.
I'm actually the same as Ben. After, I think maybe season 4 or 5, I stopped doing that. But yeah, each time the new one was coming out, I'd rewatch up until that point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
no,
commitment.
same.
Wow.
It took a while, but there comes a point where you go, actually, this is going to take way too much time.
Yeah, that's it. Or you get excited. It's like, oh, it's coming out in like a month. All right, let's start. Oh, wait a minute.
You're
That's
like,
going to
I'm
take
not giving
way
myself
longer
enough
than a month. Yeah. All right, cool. So,
You, Ben, yeah. What about you?
oh, I don't know. I have to go from bottom to top or top to bottom.
Is there like a reveal at the end you want to, oh, and this one's my favorite? Or
I'll go from bottom to top. All right,
okay.
let's do that.
I'll be the odd one out. Fine.
So the first two I've got the same as Liam.
Oh, I'm sorry to do this to you.
oh, yeah?
I've been trying to find a way to work in these sound effects, you know.
Oh, okay.
I'll be the odd one out, but
And yet I smile.
Nice. I like it.
there you go.
Excellent. Inspiration from Ezekiel.
Yet I smile.
Beautiful. Yeah, so season 7 at the bottom. I like a lot of the things that happen in the season. I think there's some great scenes in there spread throughout. But the big real issue for me is just the pacing and the structure of it, because it's pretty much all bottle episodes. So you've got an episode just of Daryl in the cell at the sanctuary, and then just at the kingdom, and then just at Hilltop. And so you'll see like, okay, here's the lead up to Negan. Here's some interesting things happening with Rick, and then for like 5 weeks or 5 episodes, you don't even see Rick until it comes back to him, and so it just doesn't flow well. Rewatching it, I'm like, oh, there's great scenes I want to watch, but I just can't be bothered sitting through a whole episode about this, and so that's the main thing for me. I feel like they've got so many storylines, they could have just put a little bit of one each episode rather than a whole episode for each one.
I
So,
feel they could have put that all into one half of the season. Personally.
yeah, and
Sorry to
that,
cut you off.
absolutely.
So Rick is your main focus then. You're focusing on his story, so episodes that don't have him are less so? or-
Oh, not so much. I mean, it's still fun to have episodes without Rick, but just, you could say the same with any of the other characters. If you find what's happening with Daryl really interesting, it's like, oh, okay, what's going to happen next? But then you don't find out for like 4 weeks because you don't even see him again
Yeah,
for
true.
ages. So that's the main thing, is just you'll get hooked on all these stories, but then it's like, oh, well, I can't look forward to see them next week because I'm not going to see them for ages. So, so that, and I guess what you're saying, just all the doom and gloom, it's sort of, the show's got a lot of that, but it's always got these sort of optimistic moments, or, seeing the bright side of the situation, which season 7 just felt fairly depressing for the most part. But still lots of great scenes in there. And then season 8, similar to what you guys said, just sort of, I was entertained enough while watching it, but it really felt like it sort of, was a bit directionless and anticlimactic and all that. So, there's that. Season 1 I've got next. This is just personal favorite, not so much quality wise necessarily. I'd probably put one higher if we were ranking quality, but I don't enjoy rewatching it as much as some of the other seasons, but it's still good, and it's got lots of those sort of inconsistencies. As far as you've got the Walker, it's even in the opening credits, the Walker trying to open the door handle and things like that, which
Right.
Bash through the window or whatever.
holding up a rock and all these things which aren't consistent with the later seasons, which is because the showrunner changed and things like that. So it's not really an issue, but it's just rewatching it doesn't quite hold up the same. Season 3's next, fairly low for me. It's just, I was saying before about bottle episodes, I'd rather they split up the storylines.
Right.
But I kind of wish, for rewatching's sake, that they had split up season 3 into Governor episodes and Rick episodes. I don't actually think that would make it better, but for rewatching, I just don't find the Governor stuff interesting, and I'll start watching an episode and then just fast forward the Governor stuff to get back to the prison.
Right.
Just because there'll be something really interesting happening at the prison, and then you cut to Woodbury, and it's like, oh, Milton complaining about, oh, can we use the power for my experiment? And Governor's like, no, we need to have ice for the drinks for the town party or something like that. It's like, okay, get back to something interesting. So
Yeah.
it's the Governor storyline really bogs it down quite a bit for me. But then I love a lot of what did happen in the prison and this, you know, I'll find myself rewatching that and I'll just tear up in some random scene because it's just got something special about it.
Wow.
Yeah, there's something about it. I don't know. There's lots of nice little moments throughout. Season 5 next. Yeah, it's good. So we start with Terminus, and then you sort of meet Father Gabriel, and they're on the road for a while, and then we get to Alexandria for the last few episodes. And that's sort of the majority of the second half of the season is set in Alexandria and all the sort of drama between people there, which those episodes all have really high ratings, but I just didn't quite find it interesting enough. All of the stuff at Alexandria at the start, but then the rest of the season I really loved when they were out on the road surviving, and you've got that whole episode where they're just sort of walking and you know there's no water until it finally rains at the end and stuff. A lot of people didn't like it. Yeah. but I love that sort of element of it where they're just out on the road, going from town to town, you know, scavenging, all that. Yeah, really liked it. Season 6 is next. I always really enjoy rewatching this. I don't know, for some reason.
6.
Yeah, so you've got at the start the big Walker herd from the quarry that they're trying to lead away, and that pretty much spans over the first half of the season. Yeah, all the drama with that and people getting separated and everything. Yeah, I just find it really enjoyable, even though it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's fun. And then, yeah, the build up to Negan at the end. Some of those episodes towards the end, like when they go in and they're killing all the people in the base, whatever you'd call it. And then, you know, you've got the one of Carol and Maggie being held hostage and stuff like that. A lot of those, after watching it, I'll just feel like real yuck, but because it's so dark.
Yeah.
But they're really well made as well. So I'm kind of half on that.
Well, if I might add something to that,
Yeah,
actually, you
absolutely.
just reminded me of is that particular season when Rick first meets Simon. They've set up a blockade on the road,
Yeah.
and of course you got Rick who's being all cocky, like, you know, you're gonna die, we're gonna win, or something like that, and stuff and things. And then you got Simon who's like, he says some line about everybody loses at some point, or to the effect of, like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. He says
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But the point being that you never actually believe Simon. You're like, well, Rick has always
Yeah.
won, so everything's going to turn out fine.
Yeah, everything's gone well so
Until
far.
it doesn't. So
Actually, that one scene in particular says, "How would you like to make this your last day on Earth?"
yeah,
And
yeah,
Simon's
that's
like,
it.
that is a good question.
Yeah.
Tells him, you know, keep your loved ones close, give them a hug.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that scene.
Yeah, really good.
Simon is great.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Actually, that whole episode for me, aside from the cliffhanger at the end, obviously that cliffhanger really just ruins the whole thing.
Yeah.
But if you don't think about the cliffhanger, I really like that whole episode.
It was,
There's
wasn't
just
it?
this, you know, you've seen Rick and the gang be really successful facing off everyone, but there's just this sense of dread throughout the whole
Yeah.
episode of something really bad is coming.
I
And
love it. And you can see that build up, or sorry,
Yeah.
the breakdown of them, where they're like, oh, this is actually getting really, really bad.
yeah.
There's one output, like there's one block, like, yeah, it's fine, we'll go to the next one. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
Next one, oh.
And it's
I think
like-
we're in over our head here.
The first one, they probably could have just fought them off and gone through, but then it gets bigger and bigger. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we can't even go back now because they've blocked the road behind us. So,
Yeah.
like, there's no escape.
And
Yeah.
am I to understand that both of you don't like the cliffhanger in the end of this season?
I absolutely
yeah,
hated
no,
it.
so it just, yeah, like, I don't know, it's big build up. Okay, Negan's going to kill someone. And then it's like, oh, well, you won't find out for a whole year until the next season comes out. It just felt like a cheap way to try and get viewers for the next
Yeah.
one.
Cheap, but like from a marketing perspective, brilliant, I thought, because I was like, don't you dare lay a finger on such and such, and you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and so it kept it current, it kept people talking about it, it sparked conversation, and it was like exactly that. When you see it from the first person point of view and you see Negan actually point with the bat and then like swing and actually, you know,
Yeah,
it's-
okay.
I don't know, like the outcome is shocking, nobody liked that, but the actual lead up and the fact that it cut there, you're like, damn it, you know, you bastards, how could you end it there? And it was annoying, but I thought that it was powerful in a way.
It definitely was powerful, and it got what it wanted. Like everyone tuned
That's
in
right.
like crazy
Yeah.
for that pilot afterwards. But yeah, I agree. It felt clickbait.
Right.
Very clickbaity.
Clickbait.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and it is, like you're saying, marketing. That's exactly what they were going for because
Yeah.
it did work, and heaps of people tuned in for the next episode. But then viewership just completely dropped
Yeah.
off majorly after that. Like, because I guess what a lot of people seem to be feeling is, oh, okay, well, you don't respect us as the audience anymore
Yeah.
because you're just trying to trick us to get us to
Right.
tune into the next episode.
It seemed to backfire quite badly.
Yeah,
on them. I
really
think
badly.
During that break, Scott M. Gimple went on record. It might have been on the Walker show afterwards. I can't remember what it's called. But he went on saying, just to clear the air, we weren't trying to F with you guys.
Yeah.
That just to
like,
let you know, we
yeah,
have
sure,
to, after
mate.
doing this, yeah, right? We have to, after doing this, we have to give you something worthy. So, and obviously what we got was pretty grotesque.
2 deaths
And-
instead of 1.
Yeah, but it was,
Classic.
but even
need
for
to turn
me,
that
like,
right
Yeah,
up,
I'll
yeah.
turn that
it
right
was,
up.
I actually thought like the violence and the brutality of it went from one level to way, way, way too much. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
viewers were the same, and that was why there was that instant drop off.
I'll just
Yeah.
feed that to you one more time.
Damn! Classic Negan.
Beautiful.
Which is like my favorite line from the most recent. yeah. Yeah.
I think a better cliffhanger would have been if he killed Abraham
Mm.
and then fade to black. Because people, like anyone who had read the comics is like, this is a pivotal point. So Glenn's death changes everything.
Yeah.
So you've got all the comic fans who would be like up in arms going, why have you deviated from the source material in this critical component here?
Right.
But that being said, people would also be like, Abraham is amazing. Like, why have you, like, it would have been awesome. But then to come back in and then Glenn gets killed as well, I thought that would have been far more effective.
So that
Yeah.
did deviate from the comics then?
It did. Glenn, it was only Glenn in the comics.
Ah.
Mm.
But that changed everything. That
Ah.
moving forward, everything was flipped from that.
But yeah,
So-
I like that thought. Hey, that would have been cool to have sort of the 2 deaths split
Yeah.
over. So you'd have time to, appreciate the Abraham death and stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, another one.
Exactly, yeah.
when it comes
As
out,
opposed
yeah.
to Glenn being, as opposed to Abraham being killed and then instantly swept under the rug because then
Yeah.
Glenn is killed.
Yeah, that's it.
That-
yeah.
I actually felt quite bad for Abraham in that sense because he was an
Yeah.
awesome character. But because
Absolutely.
Glenn was such a fan favorite,
Mm.
as soon as he died, no one really cared that Abraham was killed as well. Everyone was just up in
Yeah.
arms about Glenn's death.
Mm.
Yeah. So, I mean, actually, we might even come back to that in another episode because there's
Yeah,
so
you-
much to
sorry,
talk about
you
here.
continue with your-
But no, that's good. Actually, one last thing I'll say about that. Season 3 ended on... It wrapped up all the storylines. It was them letting in all the people from Woodbury to come live at the prison and beautiful music. Rick had dealt with the loss of Laurie and stuff like that. So everything sort of wrapped up and it had a nice bow on it. And that to me, when I saw it, I was like, okay, everything's concluded. And I really liked it. So I want to see more. And that actually made me more excited to see
Wow.
more of the show than just a cliffhanger, wanting to find out what happens in the next scene, but not actually falling in love with the show. So that was for me, at least. That was my experience. Season 2's next in 3rd place. Yeah, just really good character drama and stuff like that. Yes, not a lot of action and things like that, but until right at the end with the farm invasion.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you guys are saying, the Sophia storyline, and when you find out what happens there, that's just such a massive
Yeah.
shock and
Yeah.
reveal. And there's just so much going on with the characters. With I don't know, everyone hates Laurie, but the stuff with her, getting birth control pills, and then Rick finding out and the way he deals with it and stuff. I just really found it interesting, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but you say it's more character focused, but you still have like zombies very much present, or
Yeah.
walkers very much present in
Mm.
that. Like you've got the scene with the walker trapped down the well and stuff, and you
Yeah.
got Dale. Is it Dale?
Yeah, that's right.
Who's sniping them every once in a while. So they're still around.
Mm.
So it's not like some of the later seasons where like you almost don't see them for a few episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
You've
Actually,
still got the
yeah.
episodes where I think it was stretched over 2, where Shane and Otis go out to that
Yeah.
school to get
Mm.
supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I really liked those episodes actually. They were really good.
And actually, speaking of Dale, he died in that season, but also you've got the whole thing with Randall, who's that kid they
Yeah.
save in the
Yeah.
town, but they trying to decide should we keep him even though he knows he's affiliated with this dangerous gang and he knows how to find us and stuff like that, or do we kill him? And you know, taking a human life and stuff like that. So I just, it's sort of the first time they have to deal with a lot of these issues, and I found it really compelling and interesting. Second place, I've got season 9. Which very, very different to other.
And yet I smile.
Ganging up on you.
It's all right. It's all right. Continue.
So the first 5 episodes were all fairly heavily Rick focused. You've got you know, building the bridge and all that stuff going on, and just the writing was so tight, and every scene, you know, needed to be there, and it just flowed really well. So that just felt like sort of really a game when it came to writing and stuff like that. And then after Rick's exit, you've got all the Whisperer focused stuff, and I think part of what really helped was all the time skips. So you start after maybe a year after All Out War. And so you're finding out, okay, what's changed in then, and then you skip another month to see what the progress with the bridge, and then after Rick got 6-year time skip, and so you're meeting all these characters again, and it's just really interesting finding out what's changed in the last 6 years. And I don't know that I remember after we watched that episode where you've the first one after the 6-year time skip, you said this is probably my favorite of the season. Just there was something really cool about coming back, and it felt fresh and
Absolutely.
like almost like a new show in a good way.
Well, it was that episode that we met Dan Fogler, who is my
That's right.
childhood hero.
You love him, eh?
He's the best.
Even though he's fat, and that was your whole problem with season 9.
Oh yeah, he is a chef though, so I'll give him that.
Okay,
he finds
okay.
a way. Uses nature.
Yeah, true.
Actually, no, he's a musician, isn't he?
Yeah, I was thinking,
Oh,
was he a chef?
yeah.
I thought he was muso.
Because when
He's
we,
a chef in Fantastic Beasts. I think you might be getting confused.
because he comments on the deer like, yeah, if you mix that deer with some herb and a bit of this and that, that'll make a tasty meal. And I was
He's
like,
probably both, to be honest.
yeah.
Yeah. He seems like he'd know his way around the kitchen.
What's his character's name?
Luke.
Luke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long live Luke. Starting the hashtag.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, he has lost weight in the latest season, so
there you go.
that's a plus as well. So that whole thing. Even getting into the Whisperer stuff, it really felt like just tight writing. Everything sort of needed to be there. There were maybe 1 or 2 episodes you could argue were mostly filler, but for the most part, it was all interesting stuff happening. And there weren't any episodes where you're going, oh, well, that sucked. And then right at the top for me is season 4. So with this, it's easy to get it mixed up with some of season 3. So it starts when they're at the prison, and the first half of the season is all at the prison until the governor attacks them halfway through the season, and then the second half is them all separated and on the tracks, following the tracks to Terminus. So you've got the flu outbreak sort of for the first like 4 episodes or so, and there's just, it was either the 4th or 5th episode where that resolves, and that you had the fences collapsing in that had been built up to, and the flu and everything. That felt like a mid-season finale episode. It was like a big episode. Everything was getting, and it was like, okay, that's great. Oh, but we've got more, and that's not even the finale. And then the actual mid-season finale was even better, where you had the big war at the prison and stuff. Well,
That was good.
It was sad, but it was really well done and stuff
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
Definitely.
So just all that, and then obviously the road to Terminus. There was lots of interesting character stuff. Some good pairings with which characters were with who. A lot of people didn't like Daryl and Beth together, because that sort of dragged out a bit. But it was interesting seeing people you wouldn't normally see together having to survive and stuff like that.
Just figure it out, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
It is heartbreaking though, like Beth and Daryl.
Absolutely. Yeah, really sad.
Anything that makes Daryl cry makes me cry.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like you get the right to cry if Daryl's crying.
He's like the manliest guy. So
I know.
Like, yeah. Well, I guess, have we seen Negan cry at all?
No.
Maybe. Yeah, no, not much. So 7 at the bottom, 8, 1, 3, 5, season 6, season 2, season 9, and then season 4 at the top. So
Wow.
that's my ranking. Yeah. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
All very different. Like I think it's fair to say for me, like while some of these felt a little bit more flat than others, and there were some you could definitely tell were just filler episodes or setups for something else. None of them I walked away from thinking that was a waste of time or gee, I should move on to something different. You know, just because I expect a lot from this because I enjoy it, and
That's it. No, definitely.
So there were no seasons where I would fall away from the show because I disliked them that much. It was just, we wrote a list of favorites, so
Yeah, sure.
they were going to be, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, favorite to
Least
So
favorite.
it's sort of. I remember the term you said to me when we were watching the Batman movies. You're like, oh, this one's the least good, but not the worst. It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
It's not bad. It's just the least good.
Which means the other ones are a lot better, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, and so the other thing we're doing lots of rankings this episode, you know, just to get a sense of where we're all at. We got top 5 characters, so maybe Isaac, do you want to lead us into this one?
Sure. Before I, yeah, I'll save it actually.
Okay,
There's a
okay.
sound effect that I've been like etching to
Oh.
use, and it just hasn't come up yet.
Okay.
Um,
and we didn't say this earlier, but Isaac's got the keyboard with all the hotkeys and the sound effects. So.
Yes, I do,
yeah.
and I look forward to adding a lot more to my arsenal.
Okay.
So these are a top 5 in no particular order. Can I say that?
yeah, sure. That's
okay.
fine.
I'm glad we're going down that path, actually.
Yeah, because I can't. I will forever be in the boat. So Daryl is my first pick.
Yeah.
I liked Daryl when no one else did, and I will claim that to
Really?
my grave. I'll die on that
Okay.
hill. When people were saying, "Oh, he's a jerk," or "He doesn't care about anyone," particularly in like season 1 through to like 3, when he was just like the misfit, you weren't sure if he was going to follow along Merle's footsteps and just be the rogue and whatever.
Yeah, because like season 2, when he starts caring about Sophia and going out to
Yeah.
find her, that's when you first get a hint of, okay, maybe this guy's got a bit more depth. But yeah, before then, it's like, yeah, he's really just a jerk and rude to
Yeah.
everyone.
But like I said, like I picked up this on the back of him being in it, so I was like,
Yeah.
you know, he's my guy.
That's cool.
I like that.
Next, I have Sasha.
oh, okay, right.
Was quite disappointed with how she died. I thought it was very noble, her sacrifice and everything, although it didn't lead to much. I guess it kind of punched a hole in their defenses a bit, so she zombified herself pretty much, like took a
Yeah.
lethal dose of something in an effort to kill Negan.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're talking about like strong characters who are likable and their actions help other people, you know, she was quite selfless, and I liked that about her.
That's cool.
Next is Ezekiel the King. Man, I've just always liked him. I never bought into him being a king, simply because I thought about the world before it got taken over by walkers and whatnot. There's no way he was a king. Like,
right, yeah, sure.
like he was introduced as the king. I'm like, oh yeah, just like the governor, just like whoever else.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a self-proclaimed title.
yeah,
right?
yeah. But gee, the way that he sells it is just awesome. I know that, and I guess we've already issued a spoilers ahead, but
Yeah.
I know it's teased now that he's got some cancer brewing up and that he might not be around for too much longer, so that's a shame. But who knows? He might have some good scenes left in him yet.
That's it. Yeah.
And yet I smile.
And I love when you do see him break character as well. I mean, it's
Yeah.
happening more so now, but particularly in the first few seasons, he's always acting as the king. But then there'll just be these moments, like even in the first episode, you meet him. He's acting all kingly, but then there's a point where Carol needs him to just be real, and he sits
Yeah.
down. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, look, I worked at a zoo, and people see a guy with a tiger. Shoo!" It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
See,
just the way
I
he
love that
talks.
about him. At
Yeah.
first, I didn't buy into the whole the king facade,
Yeah.
I suppose you could call it.
Yeah.
It just irritated me. I'm like, how is this actually going to work in a post? Like, I tried to position myself from, would I respect this guy if there were zombies around? Like, no, this guy is a clown.
Yeah.
But then when I saw like the realness come out when he was talking to Carol, like you said, I'm like, actually, no,
Yeah.
this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
if it works and it brings people together like you said it did, then kudos
Yeah.
to you, man.
Yeah.
'Cause he's all regal and we must best the enemies.
Yeah.
And fake
Yeah.
it till you make it, baby. Like,
Yeah. That's it.
yeah.
That was a good impression.
Next up, Herschel.
Herschel.
I really liked that they brought a veteran. He was actually a vet, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I really liked that they brought this older guy into the series. Again, shame the way he died, but he was that sort of voice for Rick to listen to, that wiser counsel, and we're like, I thought it was awesome as well to see somebody survive in the world with one leg. We see a
Yeah.
prosthetic come along. For those reasons, I just thought, when he says it, we might actually have to sit down and have a think about this, and that's probably the right thing to do. And then last of all, Negan. A good
Damn! Classic Negan.
he has been one of my favorites right from the start, even though he was supposed to be a bad guy, and I really disliked him for, of course, offing Glenn and Abraham from the
Sure.
start. Any scene that he was in, I was like, yeah, what are you up to now? Like, how is this? And the fact that now he's come back sort of to the good side, if you could say that, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. He's redeeming himself.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
redeeming himself. I think, I
He has
just
that charisma about him, doesn't he?
He
That
definitely-
when he's on the screen talking, you sucked in.
you can
Yeah.
see why he's a leader. And
And I fed him spaghetti.
he fed Carl spaghetti, so
All round good guy.
yeah.
That's- Man, you've got some obsession with spaghetti.
I like spaghetti, man. I'm not going to apologize for that. Yeah. But yeah,
good.
that's my
That's a
five.
good list.
Yeah,
That's
Daryl,
solid.
Sasha, Ezekiel, Herschel, and Negan.
Nice.
Here's the sound of me closing my book.
Nice. Good sound. Liam, do you want to go
Top
next?
5. Okay.
Let's go.
So I'm going to be similar in some aspects and a little bit different and cliche in others. So
Yeah.
Okay.
again, in no particular order, Daryl.
Okay.
I can't say I was on the same bandwagon as you.
Yeah,
From
fair enough.
Season 2 onwards, I loved him.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think season 1, I was like, yeah, he's a jerk. Like, I like the fact that he's a loose cannon and sort of. He seems to be the guy that he'll make the hard call when no one else will, which I liked about him in season 1.
He says that
But-
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did, and I respected that. I'm like, cool, we need people like that in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
yeah, true.
But season 2, seeing that the more human side come out, I suppose you could say, for lack of
That's
better
it.
words, I really enjoyed that. And he's forgive me, but he's a badass, man.
Yeah.
He
He's
uses a
walking around-
crossbow.
yeah.
Like,
Guy walking around with a crossbow when there's zombies around, like that takes guts. You shoot
Definitely.
it, you've got to reload it instantly. If you want your weapon, your arrow back, you got to take it out. Like, these are all things to consider when you've got mindless flesh-eating things that closing in. Like,
100%, yeah.
so it uses a silent weapon, but then rides around on the noisiest motorbike. Like,
I like that. And being a motorbike rider myself, I did quite enjoy seeing a motorbike in the
Yeah.
apocalypse.
mad props.
Absolutely. But then, it makes sense with his character that he wouldn't
Oh,
be
yeah.
using a gun where you've got to rely on having ammo and stuff like that. Like, you see him a few points making arrows and things like that. He can
Yeah.
live off the land no matter what. He's always got ammo available and things
Which
like
I
that.
love that. Hey, like
yeah.
before the apocalypse, this dude was out there as a survivor. I
yeah,
love that.
that's it.
Nice.
So coming up is also Negan.
Yeah.
Same reasons. I love Negan. I think if you don't, yep, I can see it. Let's do it.
Damn! Classic Negan.
I love him.
Every
Like,
time.
I disliked what he did to Glenn and Abraham. Aside from
Funny.
what he did there, like,
Aside
I
from
love
that.
his charisma, the lean backs. I
Yeah,
love the
you-
way he talks. Everything
Yeah.
about him is just oozes charisma. But
Yeah.
it's fantastic to see him as a strong leader. And
That's right.
And I love the redemption that we're seeing in him too. It's such it is awesome.
And he made Carl spaghetti.
He did. He did. Like, what really bad villain would do that?
I don't know. That's
see?
a
Exactly.
very good question.
You could see the good in him, right?
yeah.
Little Star Wars plug.
Spaghetti
there.
brings the best out of everyone.
You can see the light side. Next, I'll put these two in together because they are very cliche. Rick and Michonne.
Yeah.
Rick because Rick, I just really like him. He's cool.
That's fine. Yeah.
I like his gun. He's a
gun.
badass, man. I love that he toes the line of initially at the start he's by the book, he's a cop.
Yeah.
Quite well, but then obviously this is the apocalypse. Everything gets thrown out the window. You have to adapt. So I like seeing that side of him where he does have to try and figure things out and toe the line between actually no, I'm the good guy, but I got to do some pretty questionable stuff here.
Sure.
Michonne, she has swords, man.
Yeah.
A sword, sorry.
Katana,
I
yeah.
wish she had swords. That would be cool. Anyways, I love that. Like a person wandering around, and her introduction, man.
Yeah.
This is a lady wandering around with a katana and 2 zombies on a chain. Like, who does that?
She does that.
Exactly. The only disappointing thing is that they really didn't utilize that again. Like, I would have loved to have seen her.
Right.
Like, imagine that with like, hey, this is a good strategy. We don't need to fear these things. If we just cut off their mouths and their arms,
Yeah.
then we're good.
Mm.
That would have been a pretty easy way to just wander from place to place.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But-
Actually, there is in the trailer for the next half of season 10. there's a brief shot of her like pulling a chain, and it could be just a tease. That is like 90% likely they're just
Right.
teasing us for
Flirting with
something,
the
but
idea.
but it would be cool.
I would
Quick
like
note
that.
on something you said about Rick's weapon, the 44 Magnum, probably the most useless weapon to have.
Oh, without a doubt.
6 shots and the noisiest gun around town,
But it looks cool.
and it kicks back like a donkey. Like not
I've
what
not
you
shot one before, but I assume that it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Kicks back like a donkey. I love that.
I was going to totally use that from now on. I love that.
You could knock someone out by holding it and whack. Anyway, go ahead.
But it's cool though. It just
is cool.
looks like this dude looks like a cowboy, man. Straight out of a cowboy movie.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
It's cool. And lastly, a different one, Enid.
Okay.
Very
Enid.
different. Yeah, straight from her introduction. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a youth worker, so I work with teenagers, and seeing a teenager by herself, figuring it out. Like obviously she's got a PTSD, got all these other stuff, and I'm by no means professional diagnosing her.
Yeah, right.
But you can see that this is a kid who's been through some severe trauma. Yet that mantra of just survive somehow. Like I loved that.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it,
okay.
and I really enjoyed her arc where she starts to become a doctor. She starts to learn all these new skills, and she becomes quite a useful member. So she's gone from
Absolutely.
this kid out in the wilderness who is literally just trying to figure out how to survive to actually a really well functioning adult. Dare I say adult? Yeah, she would have been an adult.
Yeah.
There was the time skip.
Yeah, true.
Yep. Yeah, I really liked that, and I liked her character, so I was really cut to see her go. And I actually was pretty happy to see her with what's his name?
Alden.
Alden. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Beard guy.
Yes. Yes.
Beard
Good.
guy.
Good savior.
Good save.
Good savior.
The one. Yeah, true.
Yeah, I really liked Enid as a character.
That's cool.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Choice. Is that 5 or?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's 5,
Cool,
yeah.
there you go. Oh, wow. Good choices. Yeah, that was a good list. Both Sasha on your list and Enid on yours, I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. That's cool. I
Yeah.
like it. But yeah, it's good. All right. So mine, I've got, I'll start off with one that wasn't on either of yours, is Bob back from,
Hey.
Yeah.
he's in season 4 and 5. Yeah, there's just.
Tainted meat.
That's it. That's it.
I was
yeah.
gonna. That's the soundbite that I need.
Oh, yeah.
Tainted.
Gotta get that.
We're gonna have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something about him. I mean, he starts off, he's sort of fighting. He was an alcoholic, and he ends up causing some trouble because he's trying to grab a bottle from the shop, and so he's got to deal with that. But then just the more the character develops, the more likable he becomes. He gets into a relationship with Sasha, and he's just always, particularly in his last few episodes, just always got this positive outlook on life. He's even playing a game with Sasha at times, where she's saying, oh, well, here's something bad. We're all getting sunburned, or like this, no shade from the sun. He's like, oh, well, on the good side, a glorious tan, and like, she'll point out all these bad things, and then he finds the good in the situation, and there's just something really respectable about that, and then even I like the way he goes out is they're sort of talking, and Sasha says, okay, well, what's the good that can come from you dying in this whole situation? And he's sort of starts to say something, but then dies. And so it leaves it on, okay, now Sasha's got to find that out for herself. And there's just something real cool about that. So I like Bob.
Yeah, he's smiling even on his way out. So.
That's it. Yeah, dies smiling. Rick, yep, he's, classic. He's at a few points where, like particularly in season 8, where him and Morgan, they say, all right, we give you our word, we're gonna let you guys in when they're negotiating with some of the saviors, and then they just turn around and kill them. That was some of the low points where it's like, oh, I don't know about this guy. But then, he realizes that in the future episodes and really struggles with it. So, but overall, I just love, how solid he is. He's this great leader, particularly in season 9 before he goes out. He's just, he's trying to do the right thing in these really hard situations. And yeah, he's just a great leader and people respect him. So yeah. Daryl, I don't know. Nothing really I can say that you guys haven't said. He's great. Yeah. Great character. He's, just when you see, his sort of the big heart he's got shine out, it really makes him, all that much better.
And I'd argue even from season 1 with Carol, like when Carol's husband Ed dies and she's like using a pickaxe or something and just smashing his head in.
Yeah.
He's like standing back going, what the, like, are you okay in there? Like,
Yeah,
so you start to see a
Yeah,
bit
I
of that
didn't even
even
think
from
of that,
season
yeah.
1. So
true. Yeah, no, it's awesome, eh? And then Connie is another one you guys didn't have, who's obviously one of the newer characters, but just
who that?
the deaf one.
Ah,
Yeah.
not gonna
Side
make a
note
joke.
again, she actually shared something that you did artwork wise on Instagram.
Oh
didn't
yeah,
she?
twice. Yeah,
Twice,
she did. Yeah.
yeah.
So I do. I'm not like a professional or anything, or good. I do like digital art on Instagram, and yeah, she shared a couple of the drawings I did, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, say what you will about Connie, because she's deaf.
Oh gee, that was actually.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh.
I apologize. I like Connie very
Oh
much.
boy.
I hope her and Daryl get together. I do.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
do I, actually.
Yeah, absolutely, and great match for Daryl.
Feels
Yeah,
so
but
bad.
but just so, no, that was actually pretty cool. Yeah, she's brave. She'll go out and do stuff that no one else is willing to do, and yeah, just a likable character overall. And obviously, regardless of this major disability and a zombie apocalypse, she's still carrying on.
Yeah.
And then Herschel, I've got last on the list. Well, obviously in no order, but yeah, Herschel.
Nice.
Similar reasons, or
Yeah, same pretty much as what you said. Yeah, just great. Well, he starts off actually being not so likable in season 2. He's trying to kick them off the farm and
Yeah,
everything, but when he sorts himself out, he's just so likable. So he's always wise. Yeah.
I like that he was in, like, when Rick is having this, like, delusions right at the end before he goes and he starts, like, having conversations with characters that have passed.
Yeah.
For one, I liked that Sasha was in that mix. People thought it should have been Glenn, but I liked that it was Sasha. I
Okay,
did.
Interesting.
And then Herschel as well, so that was nice.
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
really great. And obviously the actor passed away now, which is sad, but good that they were able to
Really?
film that scene like pretty shortly before he died, so it's good that we got to see him that last time.
Oh, rest in peace.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, likable guy.
Damn.
All right, no, cool list. We might even maybe in another episode do least favorites. I know you've got some interesting ones.
Boy.
But we'll leave that for another time probably. So we're reaching about the hour point, but we'll do a couple of little short other segments. We might just try some stuff in the next few episodes, see what works, what doesn't, and
Sounds good.
Cool beans.
and anyone listening to this would appreciate any feedback. The email is turnsounds@gmail.com. Is that right?
Turnsounds@gmail.com.
Turnsounds@gmail.com. So if there's stuff, it's like, hey, I like listening to this. This kind of drags on a bit. Let us know. We're keen to hear what you like.
I have a cool way of saying that actually in Anthony's
Okay.
Frontal Lobe, our other podcast,
Yeah.
the other day, just rolls off the tongue if you say for questions and suggestions.
I like
Turnsounds@gmail.com.
Suggestions. I like that.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. And it rhymes, sort of.
Kind of
It flows.
flows.
Yeah.
Classic.
So, Liam, you mentioned you had like a what if scenario or something.
Yeah,
So,
I did.
what have you got for us?
So the what if is, well, it's more of a do you think. So the question is, do you think Shane and Otis in season 2, so when Shane obviously pulls the trigger, sacrifices Otis to make sure that he gets back,
Yeah.
do you think they both would have made it out there if he didn't do that?
Interesting.
Well, you'd have something to say about Otis because he's fat.
Well, put it this way, he would have slowed them down a fair bit.
Oh, it's true. But that being said, Shane was also limping as well.
Yeah.
So Otis could have been the faster one at that point in time.
True.
Well, that's a good question. I'd have to rewatch the scene again to like
So would
properly,
I, actually.
to properly give an opinion. But yeah, no, I reckon from memory at least, I think they probably could have made it
Yeah.
or even like he could have waited till they got to a fence they had to jump over or something, and then Shane can just go and leave Otis behind if it gets to that point. But like shooting him in the foot, like
the kneecap,
right at
I
that
thought, or
point.
something.
Oh yeah, it was
That
something
was
like
dark,
that. Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
It seemed unnecessary right at that time, and that was sort of Shane's dark side really coming
Yeah.
out. He almost had a bloodlust anyway, so it was
And you can
sort
see
of-
why they did it from that point of view, was to
That's
really
it.
highlight actually this guy is gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
always sort of overestimated how fast the hordes actually are. Like, when there is a lot of them and they always seem to be gaining ground somehow, even though they're just sort of stumbling walking forward.
Yeah.
And I know that Shane and Otis were both like tired and injured and all of that, and they were kind of limping themselves. But like, surely when death is right there behind you, you're gonna like pick up speed and
Without a
adrenaline's
doubt,
gonna kick in, and
Yeah.
so I would think that they'd be able to out hobble them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But particularly, for Shane's character, he's obviously really selfish, and he's the most important person in the world. So if it was Laurie or someone he cared about, he would have gone
Laurie.
way further to save her. So if Otis was someone he
Yeah.
actually liked, then sure, he would never have done that. But it was, well, I don't care about this guy, and if there's a chance that he could slow me down, then it's not worth it. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to shoot him. So yeah, yeah. Dark Shane.
Dark
mate.
Shane.
And we're gonna try something else, which we do in our Astromech podcast, which is a trivia section. We'll see how it goes. How knowledgeable we all are about the show. Whether or not we continue doing it is yet to be determined, but we'll
I think
see.
it's wise to not keep a point score for the first couple.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
this
with you
is yeah, off the record.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go first if you want.
Yeah.
What is the first episode in which we don't see Rick? You don't have to name the episode or give the number, but just tell me maybe what the episode was about. The first one where we don't see Rick at all.
Gee, that's obscure right from the get-go.
Obscure.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that's good.
I'm a wild stab in the dark. Unless
Okay.
you have
I have nothing. I'll be
I'm gonna
guessing.
stab in the dark. Is it an episode that revolves around Woodbury and the governor?
Isaac, anything?
Can I leech off of his answer?
Yeah, sure.
The first one without him. I will actually say it's a Saviors episode focusing on Simon and Negan.
Liam, you've got it was the governor one, so that was
Nice.
the third episode of season 4, where
season
and that's
4,
where you
wow.
oh no season 3 rather, sorry, season 3.
Even then, it's still
Yeah,
fairly into the show.
yeah, for sure, definitely. And so that's when you sort of first meet the governor, and you're following Andrea and Michonne and stuff. But yeah, that's the first one where we don't see him, and then later in season 4, you do get a couple of episodes just about the governor post Woodbury and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then sort of, on the road to Terminus is where you really start getting more episodes without Rick. But yeah, there you go. That was
Okay.
sort of the first one.
Nice.
That was tough, actually.
Okay. You got it.
I've gone
Who wants to go
super
next?
simple.
All
I'm
right.
all right too if you want.
Yeah.
I've got it under the table so you can't see.
Sure.
But neither can I. Okay, so yeah, just from a starting point of view, I thought it'd be fun for the listeners as well because it's something
Okay.
that if you watch the show, you're gonna know this. So, just starting off with, what is the name that Negan gives to his bat?
Well, I like it.
Yeah.
Steve.
Steve. Correct.
Linda.
Linda. All right, actually. If the listeners haven't already said it by now, what do you guys want?
Lucille.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a super simple
Fun
one.
fact.
No,
Yeah.
Start off simple, maybe
That's all right,
gradually get a
I
bit
like
harder.
that.
Yeah.
I realised
That's
actually,
cool,
fun
yeah.
fact, I
Yeah.
should have brought it. I have a Lucille bat that I made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was like just before we
Yeah,
met Negan in the show,
yeah.
because I came over to your place to watch that.
And I think we got photographs with it, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh no, actually, it was
that?
in between. It was you made it in between the
Pilot, was it?
seasons, I think. So it was
That's right,
after
yes.
we meet Negan, but before the Glenn kill. So
Mm.
yeah, that's a very cool bat. You've gone to a lot of effort to
I
make
think it took
that.
me like 6 hours too. I had no idea what I was doing. And it turns out barbed wire is really hard to work with.
Yeah.
Well, that
yeah.
kid, in the later season, he like wrapped it in 3 seconds.
That's
so.
the least believable thing in the
yeah.
whole show. Hey, it's like, oh, I just needed a second to wrap your present. It's like, oh, sure, you needed it.
I watched that. I'm like, dude, I spent 6 hours doing that. That is a lie.
Yeah, but not sure how legal that is, but it looks very cool. It's a very well done
It's a prop.
bat. Yeah, Liam.
Yeah,
your
Alrighty,
question.
my question. So I can give it to you one of two ways. I can give it to you multiple choice, or
Alright.
I can just let you try and figure it out.
What do you reckon? You want to try and figure it out? Or?
Yeah, maybe give us that
Yeah.
first, and if we really struggle, then give us some choices.
So I didn't want to make it too easy,
Yeah.
but it's also, I think it's kind of easy. But
Okay.
the question is, how did Andrea's sister Amy die in season 1?
Ah, I got that.
All right, go for it.
So, well, she was bitten by a walker. Now, this is one of the most stupid deaths I saw because she's got her arm stretched out like over the caravan
Oh,
or something,
yeah.
and along old Chomper comes and just bites
Yep.
like a whole bit of flesh off her arm. And I was like, you see a thing coming along, you just slap it on the forehead or something. Like, don't
Or
just.
surely your instant like gut instinct would be just to pull your arm away if you
Yeah.
see anything moving. But yeah,
How am I there?
No, accurate. Yeah,
yeah, nice,
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
good.
blood loss from walker bite.
Yeah.
I thought with the multiple choice, I'll try and throw a curveball in. I'm like,
Ah, yeah.
was she killed by walkers? Was it blood loss? As in, was she killed by
Oh,
walkers
right,
from the
right.
fever? But
Right.
yeah,
Mm.
she was killed by the blood loss after being attacked by zombies.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, actually, that actress looked at a couple of my Instagram stories.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she was the one that I sent you the screenshot of.
Yeah, right.
Emma Bell, and it was me walking my dog,
Wow.
and I was
Nice.
really surprised. So
No
that
need-
happened twice.
No need to flex on us there, but.
No, I was like, she doesn't follow me.
And
nothing,
that was
but-
just random. Hey, out of nowhere.
Yeah, like at that stage, I hadn't even followed her account.
No
but
way.
Twice when I've walked my dog and decided I'll put it up on Instagram, she's
Wow.
watched it.
There you
And
go.
I've been so confused, but also like, this is the coolest thing in the world.
So cool. That's awesome, eh?
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that good. Well, we'll maybe try it again at some other point. We'll find some middle ground difficulty questions. But no, those were good. Those were good.
Nice.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think that's going to wrap up the show for today. Anything else you guys want to add in?
And I fed him spaghetti.
Very appropriate. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. As I said earlier, always we'll appreciate any feedback, particularly since we're just starting at turnsounds@gmail.com for questions and suggestions. Nice.
I really like that.
Yeah. I coined the term. I should have painted it somehow.
Yeah.
Copyright.
Copyright.
Intellectual property right there.
Yeah.
Do you want to run us through social media, or if we got the website and social media?
Yeah, otherwise, Facebook is just Turn Sounds on Facebook.
That's right.
Twitter @Turn Sounds. It's all pretty,
Yeah.
Go to the website.
Yeah. So under Turn Sounds, we've got a few other shows. We've got one Astromech focused on Star Wars, another one Midshot where we just do general movie reviews, Anthony's Frontal Lobe where you talk about any sort of random subject that you've got questions about, and that's always interesting. So plenty of other stuff if you're interested in that. So I've been your host, Ben.
Yeah, I've been Isaac Mark Anthony. #Long live Luke.
Long live Luke. I like it.
I have not been your host, but I am Liam Swainson.
Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week or whenever we do the next one.
Damn! Classic Negan.